A quarterback, a left tackle, a running back, a punter. This was a weekend of addition for the Auburn football roster in the transfer portal. This is Village Vice. He's Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. Village Vice is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round for a deposit bonus. We got some other special stuff coming up as well for mybookie.ag. What you need to know is when you use that promo code next round, you'll get a deposit bonus, and that they sponsor every episode of this show. So thank you to mybookie.ag. With bowl season, with basketball, that's what you need to know. Okay, where you want to start? Zach, you want to start at left tackle?
No.
Or you want to start at quarterback?
Yes.
Okay, so Jackson Arnold is
punter.
the guy. Let's start at quarterback.
Okay.
Let's work our way up to punter. All right. Jackson Arnold comes over. He signs. There was a lot of coordinated media around the announcement of his signing, which I thought was interesting. I mean, they didn't treat it like it wasn't just a graphic. There was a video, there was a story, there was a it was a full-on media press for Jackson Arnold.
They nailed the videos, by the way, for all the guys who committed over the weekend. They absolutely nailed it with the Letterman jacket and them reading like why Auburn. It's clearly a pre-written script, but whatever. But it's like it looked great.
Sure. And Jackson Arnold comes over with more, I think, it's less unifying than I expected it to be, quite frankly. Or maybe than it should be, but I don't like the word should because should doesn't really matter. Things
Less
either are or they're
unifying.
not.
I agree with that. Because it's not really what we were promised or told. I think everybody agrees that Jackson Arnold has tremendous upside.
Yeah.
Tremendous. And we're going to talk more about it in a second, get other people's thoughts on the situation that he had in Oklahoma. Was not ideal. Kind of sounds similar to the way we talked about Peyton Thorne a year ago at Auburn. But Jackson Arnold's upside and his talent and everything that he's scouted and his traits are just so much higher than anything that we've had in the last few years at Auburn. But it's still, we've got to talk ourselves into like, oh, well, he can work. We all kind of thought Auburn would have the money ready to go out and get a guy who had done it, who had proven that he can play at a high level consistently. And we didn't get that with Jackson Arnold.
So I guess
the upside, but like the track record, while there are a lot of caveats and variables that you could throw out there, we didn't really get that.
Okay. I don't know if this is pushback or if this is just conversation, because you addressed it on your Locked On Auburn reaction show. Who out there in the portal fits that category?
Nobody. So
what is Auburn to do if there's nobody in the portal who fits that category?
I mean, how open can we actually have this conversation, right? I mean, I'm not super willing to, to go into every aspect of it, but
sure.
I mean, publicly, no, you can't do anything else.
Right. If behind closed doors, you're out here, talking to teams that are in the playoff and you're negotiating stuff with guys who are getting ready for a playoff game, that's a different kind of, but I don't get the sense that was really the plan. So
I don't know. I think most of the time when these guys go on visits, they've got a pretty good idea they're not going to leave there.
Yeah.
And I mean, what happened? Like, what leads to that, right? So, if you asked me to rank all of the quarterbacks in the portal, I would have put Jackson Arnold 2. And this is before reports came out like 10 minutes before we sat down to record this. Mateer's about to enter the portal. I'm not as high on Mateer as other people are. I think I'd still rather have Jackson Arnold than Mateer.
Okay.
I like Malik Murphy more because of the floor being higher, but it's really close. Really close.
And again, I'm not his count. I'm not Jackson Arnold's counsel.
Yeah.
So, but based on what do you think Murphy's floor is higher than Arnold's?
I think he's done it with his arm more.
Okay.
I love Jackson Arnold's ability. I don't trust that we're going to use him the right way.
Okay. Meaning you don't think he will fill in the blank enough?
I don't think he'll have enough rushing attempts next year. for us to fully maximize Jackson Arnold's skill set. Because everybody's saying he fits the Hugh Freeze system. I'm like, okay, cool. I buy that. But also, like, what does that actually mean? Are we saying that because he's athletic? Are we saying that because of the RPO stuff? Because, like, you talk to Oklahoma people, and they're like, yeah, I mean, the first half of the season is totally different than the second half when it came to the RPO and the decision-making and taking care of the football. We all get that. But also the second half of the season with Oklahoma, when he was just an overall better quarterback, I mean, they ran him and ran him and ran him.
Oh, yeah.
They beat Alabama because he played like a running back.
Yeah.
We're not doing like
how many carries a game? How many carries a game should he have in your estimation? You're the OC. Again, should. There's that dirty S word.
Oh, goodness. I think a lot. I think like I mean, I think like 10-ish.
10-ish? All right. Peyton Thorne last year in this offense averaged 10.2 carries a game.
How about that? How about that?
So if he has the same template that Peyton Thorne had last year, he's there. Can I throw some more numbers at you?
Yeah, that makes me feel better about it already.
Okay, good. I like this. Something else that you mentioned. I promise I didn't come on here as the cross-examination to your reaction show. I love your reaction shows.
No, it's great. I mean, the reaction, right? Like you don't have a whole lot of stuff to stand on when you do them. So
correct. Fumbles. One of the things that you kind of mentioned was fumbles, right? Too many fumbles. And he fumbled
9 times, lost it 5. Is that right?
I don't know about lost, but I know he fumbled 9 times.
Okay.
That is, by the way, statistically the 5th most among quarterbacks in college football last year.
Okay.
You know who's number 1?
No.
Lenoris Sellers.
Interesting.
If, hypothetically, Lenoris Sellers was coming in to Auburn to be the quarterback next year, would you be worried about his fumbles?
No.
Lenoris Sellers fumbled 11 times on 155 carries.
Okay.
That's a fumble every 14 carries.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
Jackson Arnold fumbled 9 times on 150 carries, or 1 fumble every 16.7 carries.
Okay.
So
a lot, but okay.
Almost 3 carries more per fumble than Lenoris Sellers. Caden Salter fumbled 10 times on 114 carries, by the way.
Okay.
Nico Iamaleava, 8 fumbles on 89 carries, so 1 every 11. In other words, Jackson Arnold's fumbles are a product, seem to be. I don't know. I didn't watch all of them. I don't grade all of them.
Yeah.
But they seem to be a product of a high number of carries. He's about in the middle in terms of fumbles per carry. Taylon Green at Arkansas was every 17.6. Jalen Milroe was every 22 carries. That's impressive. 1 fumble every 22 carries. Jackson Arnold every, almost 17. Not that bad when you consider how many times he ran the ball.
Yeah, no, the context there is super, super interesting.
Yeah. So those numbers made me feel a little better.
Yeah.
About Jackson Arnold, to go along with all the other issues kind of at Oklahoma a year ago that they had. And we talked about their offensive line back in the summer. And that kind of bore out.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I talked about all offseason. I was like, look, I think people are overhyping Oklahoma because of the O-line. And, Jackson Arnold was the one who really, really felt that. So, I mean, I think that makes me feel better already.
Yeah.
I think it makes me feel better already.
Do we want to go to the?
Thank you for bringing that today.
I'm trying. I try. I do like the 5-star thing, and I also think, and I asked a couple of folks this over the weekend. If he had sat at Oklahoma the last 2 years, or played in mop-up duty, or whatever the last 2 seasons, and was coming in as a highly touted 5-star who was finally going to, get his crack at the job, how much different would we feel? Those of us who aren't excited, because I'm pretty excited about to see what he's going to do in the offense. But those who aren't all that excited because of last year at Oklahoma, how would you feel if he was just coming in as that 5-star recruit who in his 3rd year was getting a chance to play more than mop-up duty.
Like, is he transferring in
Mm-hmm.
in this situation?
Yeah.
I think the folks that are unhappy or not like super stoked are, I don't think it's necessarily that he wasn't great from a year ago. It's why can't we go and get somebody who's already been solid, who's already won and proven they can kind of like be the alpha on their team and all that. It's like, I don't think it changes.
Yeah.
I don't think it changed. I mean, because I think all the arguments that you would make about him sitting for 2 years are the same arguments you can make now.
Okay. I see that. So it's not necessarily an anti-Jackson Arnold sentiment. It's not fill in the blank with a power conference multi-year starter winner type of guy.
Yeah. And was that pie in the sky unrealistic every step of the way? Like, maybe it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe we saw the Cam Ward situation a year ago, and it's such a small sample size, right? Like, we're still learning like what the portal is and like what to expect year in and year out. And it might be a thing, a few years from now, where it's like, wow, Cam Ward was like one of the, the portal wins, of the decade or whatever. Like, I can't imagine it's going to happen too often now that we kind of got a little more data.
So Cam Ward, I mean, he was the top quarterback in the portal a year ago, but did anybody, I don't remember there being Heisman talk around Cam Ward until about the 3rd or 4th week of the 24 season.
I think it depends on who you talk to, because, like, admittedly, I was low on Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But especially when all the money that was tied next to him, clearly it was worth it. I do think there was some Heisman buzz. I mean, there was definitely some first-round NFL draft pick buzz tied to him. And normally there's a correlation between those two things.
Sure. And he had his 2nd-best season statistically in a lot of areas this year, behind only 2021.
He was good.
He was very good. Yeah. No question. So I just didn't remember there being, like, he wasn't the surefire, like, oh, this guy's going to be a Heisman. They're going to be in playoff contention until the very end with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't know who else was out there that certainly the head coach didn't think there was anybody else out there that would fit as well. Like, this seemed like his guy. And that's kind of at the end of the day.
We're back to Arnold. And something that's interesting is it sounds like there's a lot of the staff that liked Murphy more, but Hugh Freeze was Jackson Arnold first all day, every day. And as it should, the head coach should win out in that situation. So
no question.
Hugh Freeze has got his guy. He's got his guy again. And so I think that's going to be super, super exciting to see how he kind of fits in this scheme. No question about it. No question about it.
And just as a reminder for everybody, that means Auburn has their guy, because Hugh Freeze is the Auburn head coach and Jackson Arnold is an Auburn quarterback. And it's not a this guy versus that guy on the same team dynamic.
Right.
It is one. So he's the quarterback, and that's and is going forward. So that's where we are. We'll see.
How much time did you spend just thinking about Roback this weekend?
A solid 3.5 hours. Like, if I add up all the time,
I'm probably pretty close to that. Yeah. Roback.com. If you go to Roback.com, you'll see why. I mean, they've got so much stuff, whether it's the performance hoodies or the quarter zips or the collared shirts. Seems like everybody that I see at church now, they're wearing a different thing of Roback.
Yeah.
And like, the hoodies are so nice. People wearing the hoodies to church. And I'm like, okay, all right. I wore my quarter zip. Yeah. So, hey, check it out. RHOBACK.com, Roback.com. Yes, Bradlaw.
My boss wore a Roback hoodie to work, just in the office. It was professional attire. That's how good it looks. They also, hey, for the women in your life.
Yes.
They have a fleece pullover, a ladies' fleece pullover. Buy this for the ladies in your life.
Yeah, it's a slam dunk.
100%. And get 20% off.
Yep. Use promo code VICE20 to get 20% off your order. That's at Roback.com. Auburn added a left tackle. I mean, all this talk about Jackson Arnold being in a tough situation at Oklahoma. Well, they're doing everything they can to say, we're getting you protected, my guy. We're making sure you're coming into a much better situation than what you had in Norman.
Drew Chaplin.
Xavier.
Why am I thinking Drew? What in the world?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Xavier and Drew are not close.
No, I'm sorry. It's my Virginia Tech guy is named Drew, and I reached out to him last night about you. That's why.
That's funny.
That's dumb, is what that is.
That's hilarious.
So Drew couldn't talk to me because he was at a Washington Wizards game. But
good for him.
Whatever.
Good for him.
Xavier Chaplin, 6'7", 323.
Yeah, NFL size. I mean, with what he's done at Virginia Tech so far, he was really, really solid in that pretty large sample size. Over like 500 pass rushing snaps or pass blocking snaps.
Yeah.
Only allowed 2 sacks. I think single digit hurries total. So you gotta like what he's bringing to the Plains.
I asked the question of a couple of people because he was a third-team All-American his freshman year. Third-team All-American. Virginia Tech was top 25 in a rushing offense, and he was great right from the jump. This year, like honorable mention All-ACC. So what was the difference? 23, 24, that would cause his accolades to slip a little bit. I think he had some injuries maybe midway through the season and wasn't healthy for the full run, but boy, when he was dynamic at that
there are
spot.
a few games where he played like 3 snaps or something. So you gotta think that he got hurt in that or something. But yeah. I mean, everything you look at this, we talk about like wanting a proven guy at a position. Like this guy is that. So,
he wrestled in high school too. Can you imagine going up against somebody 6'7"?
I'd quit. Like, nope, I didn't sign up for this.
Even if he wasn't 320 in high school, he was like 280, 290, but he's
still 6'7" and jacked, right?
Yeah. No,
goodness gracious. No, thank you at all. So you got to think favorites to start right now. Him at left tackle.
And with Dylan Wade coming back.
Yep. Wade at left guard. Connor Lew at center. Jeremiah Wright, I guess, at right guard. Tyler Johnson at right tackle.
I maybe, but they're still bringing in tackles and guards. We talked last week that they brought in multiple interior offensive linemen. So, do you get a signature from one of those interior guys? You still have Dre Carter in the mix as well. So
Braden Joyner played well at times last year.
Yeah.
What about Seth Wilfred? I kind of like him too. The JUCO guy. So there's there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about the offensive line situation right now.
It's a very different feel too on the again, we've done shows about this, about the difference in the attention paid to the offensive line now versus previous regimes here, and the intentionality that they've taken to the portal on the offensive line.
Yeah.
I didn't notice like major flaws across the board on the offensive line. Left tackle was an issue at times until they moved Dylan Wade out there, and then he was fine. He was okay there. But it seems like they have really attacked the offensive line. They've taken the approach that, all right, if you're going to be elite, you need an elite offensive line, not just a good offensive line, but an elite one.
Yeah. Yeah. Percy Lewis was the #1 portal offensive tackle a year ago.
Yeah.
They went out and got the #1 portal offensive tackle again. I think this guy's track record's a little bit better than what Percy's was. No disrespect to Percy, but I think we all agree it didn't work out. It didn't work out. So hopefully it's a different tune. I definitely think it's a different type player than a year ago. So I don't know. Big fan of the move. Big fan of the move. All right, let's quickly go over the other two, Brad.
Okay.
Darrell Robinson, the running back from UConn, guy picked up chunk yardage like it was nothing.
Yeah.
At at the G5 level. What does that look like at the SEC level? I think that's the big question.
Yeah, most carries that he had in a game last year, 16 against Florida Atlantic, 16 against FAU, and he had 156 yards and 2 touchdowns in those games. He had 15 carries against Rice for 132 yards. So the games in which he he got more carries and got into a rhythm were the games that he really went off. He's got good size, 6'1", over 200. How does he fit in there into the mix with Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, Alvin Henderson?
Yeah.
Is he's not been a 20 carry guy. So I don't know that Auburn necessarily would use him that way.
Yeah. And the UConn narrative around him is like they liked him, but they're very quick to point out that against Power 5 competition or Power 4 competition, like they're very quick to say that his numbers weren't good. And where I say, well, like he really just didn't get the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't get the ball. Like the average is fine.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of instances where he got like 1 or 2 touches in do you have it pulled up in front of you?
I do. He had 7 carries at Maryland, averaged almost 5 yards a carry. Only had 2 carries against Duke for 6 yards a carry. 4 for 12 yards total against Wake Forest, 3 for 3 against Syracuse. So the last 2 games against Power 4 competition, okay. I mean, that's
it's tough to get going.
It's a really small sample size.
Yeah, and it seems like he was fine as far as per average goes, but does make you ask a question like, why wasn't he used?
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, bless you.
Why wasn't he used in those situations? I do think that's a bit curious, but what do we know about how running back should be used, right?
Yeah. Well, that's constantly evolving too, and every offensive identity is going to use them different ways, and we'll probably talk
if he's the third running back, like if Damari's made his announcement, he's staying. Let's assume Cobb stays for the remainder of this conversation. If he's the third back, I mean, how many touches is he actually getting based off what we saw last year? Like not many.
And I don't know what he did. He had 7. Let's see. He had 14 catches, so a little more than a catch a game out of the backfield. You might be able to use some 2 running back sets and
maybe
go to some guy, but we just haven't seen it. We haven't seen a ton of that.
I like him. And you can make different cases on how he fits in. We just aren't going to fully know until till one, we know what Cobb does, and till we kind of see where guys line up.
That's right. All right. Auburn added a punter too. You had to replace Oscar Chapman.
Yep. So they go out and get another Aussie punter. Hudson Cock has been. He and I spoke a good bit Sunday evening. And I think Auburn fans are going to love the guy. Super charismatic.
Another Aussie punter.
Yep. From Oklahoma State, transferred from Oklahoma State. And so kind of talking about his transition or whatever. But I think he moves in early January. But he's going to be great. I think he's extremely athletic. He's left-footed, which is different than the way Oscar kicks. So they're going to have to flip some of the scheme, is what he was telling me. But all in all, a dude who wants to be involved in the game, and he's going to do everything he can to help Auburn win football games. So I'm a big fan of him already.
What was interesting is that his freshman year, 2 seasons ago, 23, he was used as the target punter. So his job was to come and pin him inside the 20, try to get him inside the 10 of the 5, the target punter. And he did that. He had how many of these? 20 of 38 punts were down inside the 20-yard line.
If you go to his Instagram page, you know who Dude Perfect is, like the trick shot people?
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of doing his own thing with punts.
Okay.
And it does not shock me that he would be able to pinpoint and get the ball where he wants to do it. It's incredible.
That's good. That's good.
Best hair on the team?
No
Possibly.
Question. Yeah, he's the early leader in the clubhouse there for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. So, all in all, a good weekend when it comes to adding guys via the portal. So, we'll see what's next.
Yeah,
we'll see what's next.
You can follow what's next by going to thebarnauburn.com. Sign up for that annual membership and be a part of the conversation. The open portal thread is ongoing.
The mega thread.
The mega thread is fun just to be a part of by itself, but there's lots of other threads. There's basketball threads. Dominated Ohio State.
Just I watched that with my father-in-law, who's an Ohio State alum.
Yeah.
It almost was too bad where it wasn't fun, where I almost felt bad for him.
This team is trending along the lines of the Kentucky team that went undefeated until they got to the Final Four.
Okay.
From what, 8 or 9 years ago.
They're good, man.
In terms of
very
all-time great teams.
They are very good.
And it may be time to start the conversation earnestly. Is Johni Broome the best player in Auburn basketball history?
If he wins a championship, and I'm not talking about a natty, I'm talking about either regular season or an SEC title.
Yeah.
Or SEC tournament championship. I think he is.
I think you got to have the discussion. So, and they play again tomorrow against Georgia State. So we'll talk more basketball this week too.
Cool. Brad, that does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks everybody for watching and for subscribing. We appreciate it very much. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.